We just people from the north side. Once the Timmy's hit the shore fine. Winter ready on the
Hey guys, what's
ties.
going on? It's your host, your boy G, and this is
D. Father to father.
Ching. Summer
Bam.
Fee. Sponsor us.
Waiting for it. Should probably open mine. So some of y'all may notice I took George's advice from last week. You know, I didn't want the halo on my forehead, so I brought the visor, the hat.
That's what it does.
And
No. That's a shitty ass team that wants to be the Red Sox, but it can't be the Red Sox.
I did that intentionally for him.
Totally fucking intentional. So angry right now. Hold on, I gotta get
For those of you who don't know, my friend here, G, is a
diehard,
diehard Red Sox
Oh,
fan.
there we go.
So I decided to wear the white.
See,
socks.
on the left side of your screen would be me. And I know what winning takes.
Yeah, but
On
I
the
know
right side would be.
I know what winning feels like.
What are you talking about?
I'm just fucking with
So
you.
what do you say? Like I have more.
I know. I'm just fucking with you.
This conversation went out the. I didn't want to do it. Fucking
hey man, we gotta start off on a high note, man. We gotta
That's
start
true.
off on a.
So
high
actually, for this one, I thought. I mean, we've already gotten personal quite a bit. But I thought for this episode, we would talk, and I was thinking about this for a while, and I figured that this was good to get your reaction on camera. I feel like we should talk about childhoods.
Ooh.
And the reason why I say this is because my main question is, with what you experience in your childhood is how you learn how to become a parent.
Mm-hmm.
But if what you experienced in your childhood was a lot of trauma,
Mm-hmm.
can you overcome that and break the cycle?
Yeah, I definitely think it's possible.
So
it's possible. It's not easy.
It's not easy. So I
But it's
figured we
possible.
dissect it a little bit.
Let's get into it.
Perfect.
Let's get real.
So, okay, here. This is it. This is episode 3. The gloves are off now. Gloves are off. We're gonna go 12 rounds.
All right, let's go.
So here's the thing.
Wait. Before we begin.
Okay.
We want to give a shout out to everybody who's watched, liked, subscribed, any of our followers. Thank you guys. You know, we're starting something new where we can be open and just kind of do our thing and say our thing and hopefully not be judged. Some of it will relate to you guys, some of it may not. But we appreciate the comments. We appreciate the love, guys. So keep it coming. If you guys have any suggestions, topics, and stuff you want us to review, please share it with us. So, sorry about that, brother. I want to make sure and thank the people that are giving us their time. You know what I mean? So
in this show, he's picking up the slack. Actually, for a guy who's not on socials at all, I actually forgot to put the right image up. And this fucking guy screenshotted me in the last episode. He's like, "Hey, you didn't put up the father to father." I'm like, "Relax, bro."
Hey, man.
You know what? I was fucking late. You know, it's hard being the producer, the fucking editor, the fucking promoter. You know, George does a lot. So with George, let's something like a simple image, which was a 3-second fix. It was a very quick and easy fix. I had the app and the picture on my phone, and I just swapped it. It's like, boom, it's done. It's done.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, I know. I got it. Produced, written, starring, edited, directed, all of the above.
He's a jack of all trades, and this isn't his only podcast.
Yeah, this isn't. And I say the same shit on all the other podcasts, too. Fucking shout out to my co-host from MLW Rewind, because that fucking guy puts me through the same shit.
Yeah.
All right. So, can you break the cycle?
Yep.
So, the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I want to be open. Tail end of last year, I had some family drama. And the family drama caused a rift between me and my parents, and we're not speaking right now. And it's not family drama of something to do with me or my ego or anything like that. It's family drama to do with them and their idiosyncrasies and their unwillingness to change. And as human beings, I feel like we have to evolve. And I feel like if you get stuck in that mold of that cycle, that cliche saying of you can't teach an old dog new tricks, it's a way of making an excuse.
Yep.
Well, that's just who they are at their age. No. People can evolve, in my opinion, my belief, if they want to, till the day they die.
Yep.
So going back and restarting my therapeutic journey, my therapist and she came up with a few questions on my last session. And I could share it because it's my session. I could choose to share it. And the questions were, what do I want to get out of therapy? What am I looking to overcome this time around? Do I really want to focus on? And what am I most concerned about in this journey? And what I'm most concerned about is dissecting the past, which is hard to go back and open Pandora's box.
Yep.
Because Pandora's box is fucking scary. and you know some of the shit that I went
Oh,
through as
yeah.
a child, so it's not easy. And what I want to get out of therapy is I'm an overthinker, and I overanalyze every situation to the point where I stress myself out and make myself sick sometimes. And I feel like I've now passed on these traits to my children, especially to my 14-year-old. I've noticed that my 14-year-old is a lot like me in a way. Like, listen, a lot of people will sit there and say, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Take me as I am. But in the same aspect, as individuals, we want to be liked. Nobody wants to be hated. Nobody wants to be the bad guy. Everyone wants to be accepted in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants beef. It's like that episode. You ever watch Recess as a kid, the cartoon
Yeah.
Recess? Remember the episode where TJ had the one kid in school that didn't like him?
No, my memory's not that great.
Okay. Well, I have. There was one episode where TJ was the kid that actually looked a lot like me. He was the fat kid with the red hat. And everyone in the school liked him.
Yeah.
Except for this one kid.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually gets this kid put in detention with him so he could show him all the cool things that he knows about 3rd Street Elementary.
Yeah.
And they have this great day. And at the end of it all, TJ's like, hey, man, we had a good day. Like, do you like me now? He's like, no, I don't like you. He's like, why don't you like me? And he's like, I don't know. I just don't like you.
Simple enough.
And then TJ's friends all kind of come around and they're like, can't win everybody. TJ's like, I guess that's the way it is. And it was a serious lesson on accepting the fact that you won't be liked. But everyone wants to be liked, but you won't always be liked.
That's it.
And that's okay.
You got to be okay with that.
But and the reason why I ask about breaking the cycle is because these idiosyncrasies that I've had came from my childhood. I look for validation in my everyday life now, even as a man of 40.
Mm-hmm.
I look for validation from my employers. I want them to tell me good job. And if they don't, I get defensive.
Mm-hmm.
If they question me about a mistake or a decision that I've made, instead of just accepting it and understanding the conversation, I get defensive. I want to protect myself.
Mm-hmm.
And these are idiosyncrasies that I've inherited from my childhood trauma. My childhood trauma was not sexual. It was not anything along the lines of that. I want to stress that now. It was, however, emotional, mental, and physical abuse. When I say physical abuse, my parents just beat the crap out of me every day. Now people will be like, well, that was a generation. Fine. It was a generation. But when you get the club anti-theft device whacked over your back,
fuck,
that's not really.
Yeah. That's taking it a bit too far. Yeah.
I also have a scar, a divot in the back of my head.
I think we all got those. Not
Yeah.
in the back of our heads, but the scars.
Did you ever get a stiletto cracked over your skull, though, to the point where your skull broke open?
Nah, I can't say I've had that.
I can check that off my bucket list. And I sit here with a smile on my face because I've worked through a lot of that trauma.
Yeah.
And I'm better for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I share this with my brother because, and I say that he's my brother because skin tone don't matter shit. We've been brothers since the day that we met. And that's just a factual statement.
Peace and love.
I mean, if it, Jerry started dating him. But
we would have crossed paths at some point.
Yeah, we would have crossed paths. I mean, Jerry's not the end all be all. But fuck Jerry. That's it. It's good. I love her. Fuck her. Like, it's not important about this show, right? I only say these things because I know
he knows he can.
I know I can, but she doesn't watch. So, like, one of her good friends and her husband are starting a podcast together. And if you ask her, like, if you were to meet her on the street and be like, hey, you watch George and Derek's podcast? The answer is no. And that's her journey.
That's okay.
That's okay. We don't need her viewership or validation. We're getting on our own.
Look at that. Look at that. It looks like you're growing already. We're talking about validation.
We're talking about validation.
And shit, and now you're like, I don't need it. I don't need it. Fuck the validation.
I want it.
I'm happy to hear that already.
I want it, but I don't need it.
That was some quick growth, eh?
That was
a little bit of introspection and bam, here we go.
Episode's over, guys. Peace out. No, but so I guess in a way, like when you put yourself out on the internet, you're gonna get judged.
Not all the time.
No matter what.
When you walk out of your door, you get judged. Forget, let alone going on the internet.
It's true. There's going to be people who like it. There's going to be people who hate it. There's going to be people who love it. There's going to be people who appreciate the honesty.
You are who you are. You can like it or love it.
Exactly. And if it's not for you, hey, scroll on by. We're not going to get offended.
It.
But it's hard to unravel all of that because going through this box, and what I want to do is I want to stop the overthinking. I want to stop looking for validation. Because at the end of the day, my bosses aren't my father.
Okay.
My bosses are people who I have to answer to.
Okay.
And sign my paychecks.
So sorry, let me stop you really quick.
Go ahead.
So why do you look at overthinking as a negative? Because overthinking and being analytical also has a positive side to it, right? So is it that you're being you're overthinking and over analyzing negative things and not so much the positive things, because you can use that critical thinking to better yourself every single day, whether it's at home, at work, whatever it is that you're involved in, right?
Point.
So it doesn't have to be a negative.
It doesn't have to be a negative,
Doesn't.
but unfortunately, the way I overthink
Okay.
is focusing only
On the negative.
the negatives.
Okay.
So when I make
That's
a bad
fair.
decision, or I make a decision that I think it's to be good in the proximity of the situation to come up with a quick resolve, in the long term, it may have affected things down the line, and it becomes a trickle effect. So had I maybe sat back for 5 more minutes, reflected on a decision before I pulled the trigger,
Okay.
would the outcome be different?
Yeah, but hindsight is always 20/20.
Absolutely. But the problem is with me is that I focus on the negative. So even when in some way, shape, or forms, it's like a backhanded compliment, which in a lot of the ways it is.
Yeah.
Especially with the individuals that I work with. And I won't specify where I work or who I work with, but some of the individuals that I work with,
They know who you are.
personalities are not the greatest. And my personality is not the greatest either. And I can own that. I can absolutely own that. But there's a lot of toxicity, a lot of neurotic, old-minded thinking.
All right, time to segue.
Old way thinking.
So we're gonna take this and run with it for a little bit. So
Okay.
you're talking about toxicity in the workplace, old-minded thinking. In my opinion, from what I'm hearing from you, is not something you necessarily want to be involved in or around. So if that's the case, because you use the word toxic, when you use the word toxic, there's no positive connotation to toxic. So if you realize this, why do you keep yourself in that situation? Or why don't you do something to change it? Or what are you doing to change it?
Absolutely.
I may not know.
So what I'm doing to change it is in 2024 with the therapeutic journey.
Okay.
I've learned that I can't keep running away or switching jobs because I find something toxic.
Okay.
And if I look at my resume looks like a man who, when things got difficult, he ran away for his own personal.
So you've done some reflection.
I've done some reflection. It looks like somebody who's run away for their own personal safety. And let's not forget, I actually took this new career path that I'm on 2 years ago when I was ready to check out. So this was a period of still growing. And in the 2 years, I have grown a lot as a person, as a worker. But I've reverted back into some of my same old patterns because of all the trauma that's been rehashed over the last couple of months. So a lot of workplaces do have that toxicity, but it's how you approach and deal with the toxicity. Do I have the chatty Cathys? 100%. Do I have the boys clubs? 100%. You're never going to get away from it. A lot of jobs are much like high school. Just a lot of this, you get places, you can get paid to be there. So I look at it like this way. I could run again.
Okay.
I could find another job.
Okay.
But therefore, I put my family at risk because I may not be making the same financial obligations that I was before.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that to them. And also, I'm 40 years old. I want to actually stick in a place where I can put my roots in. And I want to, I guess, in my way, I want to turn these negatives that I'm feeling into positives to be like, you know what? I can walk into that place every day, give it my best effort, and not stress and overthink.
Fair enough.
But I have been for the last 2 years, to the point where it's almost a running joke because after every conversation, I've actually gone out of my way to ask my boss and be like, so I got to worry about my job?
It's not good.
It isn't good. And it's to the point where my boss looks at me and says, I don't know how many times I got to tell you. Like, we're literally just having a conversation. And he's right.
Yeah.
But because of learned behaviors and initial first impressions, it's hard to get away from that first impression.
Yeah. Okay.
And that comes with going back to the childhood trauma and the overthinking and always wanting to do my best and thinking that when I had done my best, but then being told I was a bag of shit and I was worthless and I was nothing.
Yeah.
So as an adult,
it replays.
It's kind of trickled itself, not to my family life. I look at my kids. My daughter, my 14-year-old, she just had her first set of exams, first set of finals. She crushed it. She got 80s and 90s in almost everything except for math, which is one of her weaker subjects, and she knows that, and she recognized it.
Yep.
She still got a 70. Okay? George never got a 70 in math. And that's because George skipped most of the time. George probably could have got 70s or 80s had he actually gone to class. See, a little known fact about me, and this is not to my own horn, when I was a kid, I actually went to therapy because I had anger issues, but I had anger issues because I was getting whooped every day.
Well, then that'll do it.
But I got put through tests and stuff like that and tests for ADD. So I had ADD, but my parents didn't want to put me on Ritalin. Thank God they didn't. That was actually one good choice.
I would say that's a good choice.
That was. But I also got put through all those IQ tests. I'm classified as a genius.
No.
Yeah, me. I know.
You?
Fucked up.
No.
I actually have a high IQ.
That doesn't surprise me.
But my problem is, and I actually have a really good grasp on language, but do I love to swear? Fucking right I do.
Yes, you do.
I do. I love it. swearing is like sex.
It's like I was just gonna say it's like a release for you. I
It
could
really
tell.
is. When I say fuck, it's euphoric. in a lot of ways. And also the meaning of the word is euphoric in a lot of different ways.
Christ. Of course, we end up back here
We end up back there
all the time.
all the time. But in doing these tests, it was classified as G, but I found out that I was a not a procrastinator, but I was not what's the word? Not a I was lazy. So
or hold on, wait. Let's take
that's actually
positive twist on it.
Yeah, positive.
You like to work under pressure. Maybe,
yeah, okay.
Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. I'm not sure.
Who knows?
As I get older, I don't like to work on pressure. I actually like to be routinely cerebral in my decisions.
All right.
Now, which has taken a long time to grow. But I guess 2024 for me, I want to get past all that. I want to look at everything like, you know what? I made a mistake. At the end of the day, what's going to be is going to be. What it is what it is.
Okay.
All I can do is take that mistake and have some internal growth as an employee, as a worker, to be better for the organization that pays my paycheck.
Okay.
And that's it. And I'm not going to mention where I work or anything like that. And again, I actually do have two probably pretty decent bosses, but because of all the negativity that I see, I don't ever focus on the positives. So when compliments are handed to me, they don't register to me because I'm not used to getting them.
Yeah.
And that's because I've never gotten them.
Yeah.
Like I get them from my friends. I get them from people who like the show. I got a lot of people have praised us for being as open and honest as we have been. And that's great. Like, I mean, me to come to you 7 months ago and be like, fuck it. We're gonna start a podcast. And like, what does that entail? It's like, is it gonna be audio? I'm like, no, fuck no. George does video. George knows he doesn't have the face of a fucking Brad Pitt, but George knows that he's funny.
Yeah, George is funny to look at.
And George is fucking hilarious to look at. Look at George right now. I look like a guy who's trying to be Eddie Kingston or Dom Toretto with this necklace. The hat is fucking tweaked out because I had it hanging on a nail. So it's all fucking oddly shaped, and it's actually giving me a headache. So I'm going to switch this hat now because I need something that wasn't hanging on a nail. Because my head is oddly shaped. And again, my head is oddly shaped because of the divot in the back of my head from the fucking stiletto needle.
Oh, Christ.
Like, see, this is the struggles that I have.
They're still haunting you now?
Still haunting me now. But I look at personal growth and I look at all the times that I've shared my story of personal growth. And it's not to be like, hey, look at George. Look at what George did. When I share my story, it's not for validation.
No.
It's not. It's to remind myself that I was able to climb out once. I could climb out again.
Yeah.
If I choose to put the work in.
Yep.
What you make of your life is what you make of your life.
Yeah.
And if you don't make the best of your life, what's the point of living it?
Yep.
I wake up some days and I don't want to go to work, like most people. I want to win the lottery. But hey, here's the problem. I don't play the lottery. So how can I win if I don't play? So I just look at people. And again, the lottery's rigged. You got to be 90 or live in your mom's basement. I don't do neither. Well, I'm not 90 yet, but I'm getting there. I feel like I'm 90 something.
Yeah,
but too. You know what? I look at, and again, my bosses are old school hard asses. And if they don't want to have the growth that they want to have, that's fine. One of them is very egotistical. And you know what? In a lot of ways, narcissistic. And I myself, in a lot of ways, am narcissistic because I'm always looking for that validation.
Yeah.
I want that validation. That's a narcissist. I want somebody to tell me I've done a good job. And people will be like, well, that's validation. It's also narcissistic because I want to hear it. I want to feel good by somebody telling me I did a good thing. And you know what? I got to stop looking for the validation. I got to accept my shortcomings. I got to accept my failures. And I got to grow. And this isn't just for show. I really am trying to put these things into practice. I've also quit smoking. It's been a week and a half. But I did have kind of a break yesterday where there was people in the car smoking next to me. So I rolled my window down and I inhaled that secondhand shit. And it was so good.
But you didn't light one up for yourself.
No, I didn't light one up for myself. What I did was pop in a piece of gum. Actually, you know what I did? You know what I've started to do with gums now? I'm mixing the gums. So I've taken the fresh mint extra, the silver pack.
With some fruit.
No, I've mixed it with the spearmint extra.
Really?
And it's like a fresh spearmint.
Huh.
And it's like a fresh maker, but it's spearmint. And then what I do sometimes, I'll fuck around with my taste buds. I'll pop one on the right side of my mouth and one on the left and chew them and let them slowly intertwine.
Man, I mean, you're a mixologist on all different levels. First the drinks and now gum. What's next?
I'm telling you, who knows? Who knows what I can mix? Maybe I can mix together some amazing toys to come up with a new superhero, like a bat lantern.
Wow,
that was I think about.
I mean, hey, it was good. That was good though. Hey, it rolled right off your tongue like
Spider bat. Wolvabat.
Nah.
Wolvaclops?
Maybe.
Wolvaclops?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that.
Beast Wool?
Yeah, that could work.
Rogue Beast. I'm a Rogue Beast. I'm a Wolbit, like Gambit and Wolverine. I'm a Wolbit.
Jesus Christ, we're just all over that.
All over
X-Men,
it.
yeah.
Well, I started to roll with it, right? Dark
Hey,
Phoenix.
hey,
It kind of
you
popped
just
in
gotta
my-
let it go. Let it roll. Let it roll. So you
But back to
brainstorm.
my original question.
Yeah.
So knowing about the trauma, knowing about the child, and again, I'm not sure of the childhood that you lived, but I understand it. I know it was pretty happy. You told me about it.
Yeah.
Like your parents were firm but fair.
Yeah.
But can you break the cycle? And me, I guess my big question is because I've seen my daughter become an overthinker, stress about the small things, and I keep telling her, don't be like me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't focus on these small things, because unfortunately, these small things will eat up at you.
Yeah.
And books like Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, you can read them till the cows come home, but you've got to put stuff into practice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my problem. I've read it. I have the knowledge for it. I know how to do it.
Yeah.
I just haven't put it into practice. And again, that goes back to my laziness. I put effort into what I want to put effort into, and I don't what I don't. And for a long time, because I ignored my problems, I ignored my shortcomings as a person, I put them to the back burner until it caught up to me and I exploded.
Yeah, but the fact that you can recognize that and take action on it now, whether it's small steps or large steps, progress is progress no matter what you do, right? So you've recognized it. Now it's how do you put that action into place? And it doesn't have to be anything monumental, but it's got to be something gradual over time. Like you decided to change one habit, you decided to stop smoking, and you stuck with it.
Yeah.
Right? What's next?
Well, I got to get over crystal meth. I mean, I cook it. I don't smoke it, but I cook it. I got to stop doing that.
Yeah, but that pays bills.
It does pay bills.
So,
I don't cook crystal meth. Anybody just fucking relax. Everyone out there, please. Because like people like
I know exactly where that was going.
I'd
I'm gonna knock on the door and get the cops out here. Hey, we heard you admitting
And you know
to
what?
selling crystal meth.
It's a funny thing. So here's a funny thing for 2024. I never thought I'd say this, but in a lot of ways, in shape or form, and I'm laying out some breaking news even to you. You don't know this,
Shit.
but I don't know if you've noticed. The last couple times we've done the shows, I've been having
Gross.
these imageries, and the reason why is I don't go to church every Sunday. I won't. I'm not a hardcore Catholic, but I am Catholic. I was born and raised Roman Catholic. In a lot of ways, I feel like I've let God and Jesus in a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and in a lot of ways, so you reckon I find myself at home, at work, or sometimes when I'm having a difficult moment, I'll pray. I'll pray on it. I'll reflect on it, and it doesn't mean, oh great, now this guy's preaching God. I'm not.
No.
I'm not. I've just recognized that I've let it in more. Plus, this thing was really cool. It's like Timo. It's like $2.
Man,
Timo.
Here we go again.
I love Timo. Shout out to Timo, sponsor us, because I get free shit.
And he'll promo it really well.
All the time. There was an awesome picture when I got this like watch deal, and I did this like photo. It was a sexy looking photo. I did it all myself. Pretty cool. I was pretty happy with it. But yeah, like I've in a way allowed my spiritual side to come out more.
Yeah.
And I think that's ways that I'm again breaking the habit, breaking the mold, to try to be a better husband and a better father.
Yep.
So can you break the habit? I feel like I have, with the way I was raised, the way I've raised my girls.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't always perfect times, but I never laid a hand on them, thank God. And I could be proud of that. And I never used the anti-theft device for something other than being an anti-theft device. So that was a huge thing. But in a lot of ways, I see my kids picking up some of my traits. My youngest daughter, she gets frustrated really easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to go from 0 to 120. Not even 0 to 60, 0 to 120 in like 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, now it's just 0 to 100.
Yeah. But Ariana, she gets revved up real quick. And she has to learn that it's okay to be no, it's okay to be upset, but it's how you deal with the frustration of being upset. That's what it is.
Yep.
And Cassandra, she overthinks, she stresses, and she worries about things that she can't control.
Mm.
And I'm the same way. And that's the one thing you have to remember. You can't control it. So stressing about it's not going to help. You're just going to make yourself sick. And I've done that. I've gotten to a point where I've made myself sick.
Yeah.
And it's not a fun feeling when you're trying to, your body is your temple. And if you're not taking care of it because you're making yourself sick and you're just tired and you want to sleep all the time, you want to close the doors, you want to unplug the power, that's not a good way to look at life, because we're all here for a reason. Yeah. What's our reason? I don't know. Maybe this right now, this episode, somebody's watching this and they're at the end of their rope. And they're going to go find the help that they need. And whatever the help may be. Maybe it is going to church every Sunday. Maybe it is finding that person to talk to. Maybe it is looking for the love of your life. Maybe it's getting a dog, a turtle. I don't know. Maybe it's going to catch butterflies in the woods. Whatever your maybe he's going for hikes. Whatever your thing is, however you get that therapeutic process done, look for it. But I pose the question to you because our childhoods don't mirror each other.
No, not in the least.
But you probably have some traits that you picked up from your parents that when you became a parent yourself, you wanted to break. Was there anything that you've broken and have not passed on to your kids that you might have inherited from your parents?
No.
No.
And I say that because
And that's great.
Yeah, I say that because I know and I see some of the things I went through with my parents from a disciplinary perspective that I constantly have to stop myself and give myself pause because I know growing up I didn't like it. So I'll backtrack a little bit maybe to give you guys some background. So my parents are from Ghana, West Africa, first generation Canadians. So me being their firstborn child, raising me here, they wanted to raise me as how they were raised back home. So they wanted to instill the same core values, the same morals, the same everything, same structure. It's what they knew. So to say that, they could have done anything different, I don't wrong them for it. It's what they knew. It's how they were raised. It's what they're emulating. So now moving to the Western world, um, you know, some of the disciplinary things that we went through, maybe not as bad as what George had gone through, but
let's get this out right. Segue. Let's get this out of the way right away. I don't want anybody to ever have to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
And if you did,
I agree.
I feel you.
I agree.
And you're validated and you're a survivor and you're a fucking winner.
Yeah.
And know that and recognize it.
Use it as fuel.
100%. Anyways, I cut you off. I apologize.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So obviously discipline still is a foundation of the upbringing in the African culture. It's good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. Don't use your left hand when you're greeting someone. Use your right hand. So little cultural things like that. It was almost
Sorry,
like
why not the left hand?
So back where my parents are from, like I said, Ghana, West Africa, using your left hand is a huge sign of disrespect because they say use your left hand to wipe your ass. So if you give somebody your left hand, you're giving them shit. So if somebody's giving you something and you go to accept it with your left hand, you're essentially holding out shit to them.
Well, what if you're left-handed?
That's too bad.
You got to
learn to do everything with your left.
Wow.
So if you can write with your left, no problem. My sister's ambidextrous, so she can do both. But the problem with her growing up was she favored her left. So she got the belt or the whatever to her hand when she would present her left hand in an effort to teach her the cultural way, but not always explaining it. So me being the firstborn and being older, I kind of understood. I started to understand as time progressed, but my sister didn't quite understand it, but she was good with both hands. It's something up until this day that is instilled in me and something that I still use with my children. Don't use your left hand, use your right hand. If you're giving something to someone, use your right hand. You're shaking someone's hand, don't give them your left hand. Like, I wouldn't say it's traumatic. I understand it. My kids won't understand it, but I still try and explain it to them in a not so aggressive way. So that they still have that cultural aspect of it. Because one day I do intend on taking my children back home so they can see their roots and, get an understanding. And the last thing I want to do is take them to one of my uncles or aunts back home and, they go and present themselves with their left hand because they won't be so forgiving. They might lose the hand that day. So I don't want that to happen to them. So I got to prepare them for the worst now, right? But
prepare for the worst. Don't expect it. Prepare for it.
That's it. Don't expect it. I'm hoping by the time we get there, they'll be fully aware of what they're doing and how to control themselves. But I mean, like in terms of my upbringing, like discipline, like I said, was at the foundation. You couldn't talk back to people. You respected your elders no matter where you went. And licks, as most of you know, or beats or spanks or whatever you want to call it.
Boxes.
We got them any and everywhere. Home, store, school, daycare, church, walking, in the park. You did something that crossed your parents, you got quick. Like there was no hesitation. There was no talking. It was now you know what you just did has a repercussion. And that's how my parents raised us. So there were certain things that you would think twice about doing. Now, along with that as we got older, came the yelling, getting yelled at for doing something that we shouldn't do, or getting yelled at for not listening, or so on and so forth. So the raising of the voices, and I find for me, I do that same thing, and it's not to try and instill fear in them. And I did it. It was a lot worse, I would say, a couple of years ago. And now I catch myself. And me and Jerry have had multiple conversations about, not yelling at the kids because it instills fear in them. I don't want to walk by my child and have them flinch. I don't want to open my arms to give them a hug and they flinch because they think I'm about to hit them or they think I'm about to yell at them.
Oh, so like I do with my brother. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Gotcha.
So it's just and after we've had numerous conversations about it, because I'll be honest, the kids test our patience. It's as if they have a quota that they have to meet every day and push the buttons. Just push. You saw me when I got here this afternoon.
Like
this
the Peel
evening.
Police. Like the Peel Police at the end of the month. You got to get them tickets in, boy.
Same thing, right? So I mean,
you roll that stop sign back there, sir. Which one? The 17th one back?
Yeah. And you're gonna remember.
You're gonna remember that shit.
Yeah. So I mean,
go Peel Police.
I still got to drive home, right?
Yeah, but it's going to air tomorrow, so it's all good.
Yeah, and then the day after that, I'm cooked.
Yeah, but that's fine. They don't know your license plate.
They know me.
God's a GMC Yukon guy's black.
I will be selling a GMC Yukon black for all those who are interested. It's up for sale.
Hit us in the comments. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, the discipline I've talked about that was one of the major things.
I want to focus on one question. I gotta ask this.
Yeah.
You mentioned licks, you mentioned beats.
Hey.
They were never with inanimate objects.
Of course they were.
Of
course they were. Though I haven't gotten there yet, but
okay.
not nearly as aggressive as what you say. So
that's what I'm wondering. Am I overthinking how I was treated, or
no? Because I never got hit with the club. I didn't it wasn't. My parents didn't beat me with the intention of harming me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No. See. Yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that I got beats with belt, switch, shoe, slipper, wooden spoon, electrical cord, whatever you can think of, whatever was closest to grab. Now, mind you, there was never a club anywhere close enough for them.
But if it was,
it might have been, but the intention wouldn't have been to harm me. The intention would have been to scare me or just make sure to make contact with me so that I knew what I had done was inappropriate or it was frowned upon in their eyes. Right. So yeah,
my upbringing was a little bit different. That was definitely intentional.
Like we got licks. I remember one thing fondly, and this is a memory that stuck with me till now. I was at daycare, and I remember I had just gotten back from my trip to Montreal, stayed at my uncle's house for a week, had a grand old time. He bought me a watch. I came back on a high. I was on cloud 9, and I went to daycare, and I cursed at the daycare teacher. I think I was probably 9. And I can't remember if I told her to shut the fuck up or just shut up. But they called my parents.
You woke up in a hospital.
I might as well have. I think that probably would have been a better option. But so I'll never forget when I got picked up from daycare. If looks could kill, and I mean really kill, not just harm, I mean kill, the look that I saw pierced through my soul. No words were needed. I knew what was happening when I got home. The watch came off. They took that, put it in their pocket. No words till we got home. Nothing. Silence, absolute torture. I don't know what's coming. I get home. We all get home. You go upstairs. We're living in an apartment. Now, I don't know where the fuck my dad found a 2x4, but he had a 2x4 somewhere in our apartment. Had the 2x4. Come and kneel down on the 2x4. Keep your back straight. I'm thinking, oh, that's it? You're just going to make me kneel on a 2x4? This is easy. I'll pretend like it hurts, but yeah, so kneel on the 2x4, back straight, knees on the 2x4, right? You know that part that hurts, the cartilage, right in there, kneeling on the 2x4, back straight. I'm just sitting there and I know I'm going to get lectured and I have to stay straight on this 2x4. No, there was no lecture. There was no words. Everybody says it. The exaggeration of when a child is getting licks to every goddamn syllable with a belt on my back.
Watch the mic.
And I
Don't pop
was
the mic.
not allowed to move. I had to keep a straight back after getting the licks. And if I moved, it came again and again and again until the point where I think they just felt sorry for me and sent me to my room. Now, that to me, I look at that, I'm like, fuck, that's torturous. But I didn't see my brother get it. I didn't see my sister get it like that. At that point, they started to come around to the westernized world. That learning curve of how to raise your child in North America and not Africa had come around. Now, I know they weren't trying to harm me. I know they were trying to teach me a lesson. Or maybe that's what I've told myself to convince myself that that wasn't the case. Who knows? I don't know. But I look at that and I'm like, I don't ever, ever want to put my kids through anything like that. I want to teach them the right way of doing things, and something that I've started to learn kind of in my adult life, or have learned in my adult life, that I try to apply to most things is, if people don't understand the why behind something, they'll never really buy into it, right? So when my kids do something bad, my first instinct, especially if it's something ridiculous, is to lash out at them and just let the monster out. So to instill fear. That doesn't do anything, right? So I try. It's not for gentle parenting, because believe me, I've gone upside their head multiple times. So judge what you want, but I've gone upside my kids' heads whenever I have to. But when having that conversation in retrospect, it's, do you understand why this happened? Right? It's not just licks and go to bed. It's, do you understand why? Do you understand what you did that caused this? Okay. You can do it again? No. If you do it again, what's going to happen? Okay. Consequences. Doesn't necessarily have to be licks this time, but you know there's going to be an associated consequence, because you now understand why, because we talked about it. Right? So rather than just living in fear, they're like, shit, I should think about what I'm going to do before I do it. And for the most part, they're pretty good. But there are days where they push me, right? So, I mean, I'm trying to break out of it. I try and catch myself before I do anything outrageous to scare them and traumatize them. But sometimes it's natural reaction, right? So I can't say that I've broken out of it fully. I could say it's something that I recognize, it's something that I work on a daily basis or a weekly basis, or whenever they decide to trigger me. But yeah, it's a work in progress. Parenting's not easy. Breaking the curse, or breaking the habits, or whatever that you want to call it, is definitely not easy, because it's what we know, it's what we saw, right? The fairy tale bullshit that you see on TV about how families are raised, I call it bullshit, because I've never seen, and nobody that I know nor myself was raised in that manner. That bull, you come home after school, you eat this, and then you go to bed and watch TV till like, I don't see that. I try it. We do what we can, but you got to let people be who they are, and that's really it.
But let me ask you about this, from watching you being raised from the old ways, which is the ways that your parents knew that they came over here with, to watching your brother and sister being raised in that more Western philosophy of parenting.
Yeah, I tapered off. Yeah.
Would you say, though, that between you and your brother and your sister, you guys were praised when praise was needed? You guys were given that, I guess, validation?
I got that a lot from school. Because
did your parents ever look at you or ever tell you to your face that, you know, you were nothing or you were beneath? No. Did they always make you feel like you were, in your own way, special?
Yeah, I would say so. Outside of all the other shit that I just described, it was, I wouldn't say they'd come up to me and be like, hey, I love you. I didn't get much of that growing up. None of us did, right? That wasn't in my parents' nature. But every now and then, you know, you'd get the pat on the back, hey, great job. Or I'd come home with a certificate from school because so I'll kind of go back a little bit, and I don't want to segue too far off the question, but my parents strongly believed that if you were in your books and you did well in school, you could have the world, the moon, and the stars, and life would be made. So me, oh, I want to go play with my friends. Oh, make friends with your books. You know what I mean? And that was their answer. It was, be friends with your books, go and read, or go do this. And I thank them for that, because I did well in school. But I did extra well. I tried extra hard in school to come home with that Student of the Month award, to come home with those certificates, that validation, to be like, look, I got it. Oh, okay, good job. You know what I mean? Because I knew that's what they wanted.
I unfortunately never did. And I never really heard the I love yous or anything like that. Like most kids probably from our generation didn't, and which was fine. But a lot of times I found my parents showed love in other ways of buying me off. I always had, for the most part, decent clothing, designer clothes. I had Tommy Hilfiger and Nautica before a lot of other kids in my school did.
God damn.
Yeah, my parents went to the States all the time. Yeah, exactly. I had that kind of stuff. I had the games, I had Pogs, I had all the fads I was involved in, and I had all that stuff. But that's just stuff.
Mhm.
I didn't need the stuff. What I needed was, and the one thing I say to this is, I've gotten over a lot that my parents have done. I actually understand that that's all they knew, and doesn't make it right, but that's all they knew. And my parents a lot of times would be like, "Well, we did the best we could." Yeah, but again, I have a scar on the back of my head from a stiletto heel that was cracked over my skull because it came home 5 minutes late. So, and again, I'm not the only person that's ever suffered through that, and I've become a better person. And if it wasn't for, again, my wife pushing me to seek the help to move past it, and you know, at one point in time, I'll say this: I was babying the family, so my sisters got a lot of that. Then I came along, and I was getting it by 4 people.
Mm.
So that's the part that stings, right? And I have a good relationship with my sisters now, but it wasn't always peaches and cream. You know, if you knew me 10 years ago and somebody said to me this, that, or another thing about fuck my family.
Yeah.
But now as I get older, I do appreciate my family. Right now, my family and I aren't speaking. The one thing I will say is that I learned how to be who I am as a man now, sensitive and endearing, from myself.
Yeah.
I looked at everything that I was shown by my father, or as I look at sometimes as one half of creation, cowardly in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I did never want to be that. I want to stand up. I want to recognize. I want to fight for my kids. I want to be there for my kids. And especially based over the situation that happened, again, not to go in too in depth, but I was there for my father. I was there through the whole situation. And when the outcome didn't favor him, he cut me off.
Yeah.
Stopped talking to me. And we haven't spoken since that situation. And when my sister actually called him out and asked him, "Why aren't you speaking to your only son?"
Right.
I just don't want to deal with it.
With what?
But I was there for him. And that's what I'll say. I don't want to get too impersonal. You know,
Yeah,
I don't want to
yeah.
get too impersonal.
Yeah, we won't.
I don't want to air too much of my family's laundry out there.
Yeah.
But I look at that, and that's something I never want to be. Till the end of the days that I live and breathe, my daughters are all that matters to me.
Mhm.
And obviously my wife. But this episode's called Father to Father, not husband to husband.
Yeah.
So wives aside, we love our wives. They test our limits too, but we love our wives. But our children, this show's about our children and things that we want to instill on them. So I want my daughters to look back on this episode and see the sincerity, see the fact that I was open about so much of this shit. And I don't even know what's going to happen from this one. I don't know what kind of judgment is going to come, because there will be some kind of judgment, and that's okay.
Who cares?
I honestly,
I know you don't care.
I don't care, but at the same time, there's that little voice inside me that says, I hope they're easy. I know there's going to be judgment, but I hope they're easy. Listen, I talked about my therapeutic journey about wanting to kill myself 2 years ago, and I had some jackass on Instagram. All the comments were like, "Amazing, way to go," you know. And I wasn't looking for validation. I wasn't. I shared that story as a memory for me, so I can keep looking back and keep fighting.
Yeah.
This one guy came, "Oh, you're a pussy, you call yourself a man." Cool. You're the keyboard warrior attacking somebody else. All I said to him in the message was, and this is right before I blocked him because I don't want the negativity.
Exactly.
I said, I hope whatever struggles you're going through, you figure out a way to solve them.
Yeah.
But if you're going to attack somebody on the thing, and when I looked at him, this was definitely a person who's seen better days.
Yeah.
And I hope that gentleman finds his journey. But at the same time, fuck you, dude, because you never walk a mile in my shoes. You couldn't live the fires I've lived through and been through the battles I've been through. Trust me. There's scars. You may not be able to see all of them, but they're fucking there. And they cut deep. So don't judge me. You don't know what the fuck I've been through.
Yeah.
But I know something about you. You went to Cranbrook. That's a private school. No, shout out to 8 Mile. And you know what? Shout out to fucking Papa Doc, okay? He goes from being excommunicated from the 8 Mile to
R.I.P.
becoming an Avenger.
R.I.P.
Motherfucker's an Avenger. Okay?
Papa
He is
Doc.
fucking Falcon, and now he's Captain America. Dreams do come true.
Oh, yeah.
All right? But again, like,
That's
to be
killed on
cliche,
stage, though.
you've never, yeah, you absolutely did. One pop, two pop.
So I said
three pop,
R.I.P.
four. R.I.P. Absolutely. Oh, he's choking. Yeah, that's right. The best one though is when he fucking Ward. I think you were a little hard on the Beaver. So was Eddie Haskell, Wally, and Miss Cleaver. But honestly and truly, I have scars, and I've worked through them. We all do. We all have scars, and I'm not sharing my story because I want people to well, look at him, look at him. No, I want people to know it's okay. You want to come talk to me? I'm not a therapist, but I'll listen. I'll point you in the right direction. I'll help. That's what we're here for. The DMs and comments are open, guys. You have something you want us to talk about, you have something, and like Derek said at the beginning, anybody who's given us time, thank you. Anybody who's watched, thank you. Anybody's given us a like, a view, thank you, thank you, thank you. But interact with us. We want to hear your stories, hear your struggles, hear your stories of survival and overcoming, because that's what this is about. Father to Father is not just about us talking about our experiences as fatherhood, because there are a lot of fathers out there who have the same experiences as us.
Oh, yeah.
But Father to Father is about letting you guys know that the door is open here.
Yeah.
It's safe. As we grow bigger, who knows? We may have a couple other fathers pop in.
100% is going to turn into that. It will 100% turn into.
I can't wait to get Derek and his brother in here because it's like looking at two twins, especially when they wear the same outfits accidentally. That shit actually happened.
Yeah, more than once.
Now, before we go, my one final question.
Yeah.
Do you think so? Did we answer the first question though? I guess that's my question. Did we answer the original topic of tonight's episode? Can you break the habit? Looking at, I will say, let's do an evaluation on one another. Looking at what you told me tonight, you have instilled those core values that are from your heritage, from your roots, from your background, which is phenomenal. But you've also learned what your parents did is not the right way to do things, but that's all they knew. But then they realized it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But you've also learned about that being firm but fair attitude.
That's it.
That's what 100%. And I look at your brother, I look at your sister, I look at you. You're 3 of the most genuine people ever. Of course, when push comes to shove, 2 out of 3 look like the exact same person. I mean, you really can't tell them apart, guys. It's fucking scary. And
maybe I'll send him on the show.
Also, shout out to Dee's little brother. But straight up, the man, his wife is gorgeous. Okay, she's beautiful, but she is a chicken shit. This man wants to go to horror movie shit. He wants to watch horror movie, but he can't. And I get it. And I sympathize. So I'm there with you on your horror movie journey.
Yeah, we all got to go.
He was very upset because I went to the Stranger Things experience with my daughter. And he
you bringing that up?
Yeah, I did. Remember that day I showed
we tried to go after. We tried.
But your
tickets
didn't work. Out, right?
Yeah, it didn't work.
Yeah, because it was fucking fire. I bought him day 1. I went on a pre-sale list, and he told me. I remember that day. It was at a birthday party.
Yep.
And I showed it to him, and he showed it to his wife. And his wife looked at him like he had 3 fucking heads.
Nah.
Like, dude, are you okay? You understand who I am, right? This is not happening. He was salty for the rest of the day. Very upset. Like, even when I say goodbye,
he's a hardcore fan. Loves it.
When I say goodbye, he's like, "So like you're going, eh?" I was like, "Yeah, it's like 3 days from now. I'm going." And he fucking hated me. I don't know if he's over it. I don't know if he's over it.
He has no choice but to be now.
Absolutely. The Stranger Things experience is gone, but it was amazing. It was amazing. We got to eat his scoops. We got to do all kinds. Like, he was very upset.
Yeah.
I know he saw all the pictures and he was very upset.
Yeah.
He follows me on Instagram. I noticed that was a 1 view post. I did not get a like because he was. I get it. You're salty, dude. It's not my fault. I knew about it. You didn't. Like, it's not my fault.
Next time.
Yeah. Stranger Things season 5 is coming out in like 7 years. It's all good.
Shit.
Yeah. Well, that's the delays. But
how it goes.
So do you think that I will say that you've broken the habit? I see it and I understand it.
Thank you.
But be honest with me.
There's a long way to go, but yes.
Do you think that I've, in some way, shape, or form, have broken that to the point where it's like so far in my rear view? And again, maybe I'm looking for validation right now.
No, you're not
But
looking for validation.
I'm asking honestly.
So I'll tell you one thing. First and foremost, thank you for bringing me here. Secondly, thank you for being open and honest with everybody about here, because it takes a lot of fucking balls to come out here and say some of the shit that you've said, especially about the way you were raised. Now, listening I can't even say just listening because I've been around long enough and we've had these conversations
Right,
before.
we've
So
had more
for
heart
me to
hearts
know,
than-
right? For me to know what your upbringing really was and what it's done to you. And you talked about 2 years ago multiple times. And I remember, getting some of the phone calls from you where you just weren't in a good place. And that all came from things in the past and what was happening to bring those feelings back to the surface. You never once have let anything that's happened to you in your past negatively influence your children.
Hmm.
So don't think that what you're not doing is not noticed by everybody out there. Your wife is very supportive of everything that you do. She's very supportive of everything you've gone through. And everybody recognizes the fact that you have completely separated your childhood from what you want to see your children's childhood be and what you want to see them turn into. So you have broken the curse in the actions and what you do on a day-to-day basis. You haven't broken it up here yet.
There's a lot of
And
there's a lot of walls up
Yeah,
here. There's a lot of walls. And I think those walls were built because it was safety.
yeah, it still is. Our this is our home, right? Like we house everything here, but your kids, yeah, they got your traits. That's what happens. That's genetics, man. Our kids pick up so many things from us. Look at Zion. He's my twin in bulk.
Density.
Right. He's
Density.
right. But
and Amari is very much like your brother, very salty.
Yeah.
Salty.
But the all-around natural born athlete. So I'll give him that.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, he's definitely got some chops.
Yeah, but
and none of that comes from his mom. His mom has 2 left feet and 2 right hands. Actually, she was a pretty decent soccer player, but I don't want to say that. Oh, now watch this be the first episode you watch. Oh, look at that.
Oh, she's definitely gonna watch. She's definitely gonna watch. I'm gonna make her.
No, you're gonna make her. Oh, great.
But yeah, so George, don't ever think that you haven't broken the cycle because you already have. You already 100%. I see how you are with your children. Cass adores you. She has the same interests as you. She is you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She's a refined version of you as a kid.
She's more
you
polished.
know what I mean?
She's
right.
more polished, yeah.
And then you've got Cass, who's like your little
Ari,
sidekick.
yeah,
Ari, sorry,
yeah.
your little sidekick. Sorry, I always say Cass. She's your little
because
sidekick.
they look the same.
I know, it's crazy. But you've broken it, man. You've 100% broken it. They have your kids have everything they want and everything they need. And like you said, you've never raised a hand to them. Yeah, we yell at our kids. That shit happens. It's normal. It's a reflex.
Actually, you want to know something funny? This is how I've broken it. There's an interesting story that actually happened right before you got here.
Nice.
We're sitting down at dinner, we're having a good old Canadian dinner, a little mac and cheese.
Yeah.
The best way to do it.
Yeah.
And she came downstairs and she had a tiff with one of her friends, and she had worked it out with one of her friends who talking with one of her friends. And I said, I'm glad that's worked out. And she said, yeah. And then we got on a subject on this one friend that she has of hers. I am not a fan of. And
we all have those kids.
Absolutely. And it's because this girl is supposed to be her best friend, yet has never shown up to any one of her birthdays since this girl's been in her life. She has apparently family conflicts and stuff like that happened around the same time. But there was also drama that was started at Cassie's last birthday, and this girl was one of the catalysts of it. So I have my reservations and my issues of trust with this girl.
As you should.
Cass gets very upset with me about that because this girl is somebody she's very close to, and that's fine. I told her, I said, I have my opinions. I have voiced my opinions. We have had multiple disagreements about my opinions, but I don't voice my opinions anymore because I understand that is one of your friends, and I'm not going to tell you who to be friends with. I don't want to be that parent. That's one of your close friends. I understand it. I may not like them, but I accept it. I accept it and acknowledge that that's the choice you've made of someone you want to have in your life as a friend. Totally fine. Totally fine. But she kept going on about it, and then she made me feel bad for having opinions. And I told her right before you got here, I said, Cass, let's have a talk about this. Let's actually have a discussion. You can't get mad at me because multiple times in this conversation, I tried to stop it from getting to this point by saying, you know my thoughts and opinions, but I keep them to myself now. I don't want to have anything. I go, but understand that I have my reservations because the last birthday that you had, you were upset because of one half of the drama that this girl started. So understand that because I saw my daughter crying, I went into protection mode. I went into lion mode, and I'm not going to let some little fucker destroy you. I didn't say little fucker to her, but I like as soon as you see one of your kids cry, boom, you go into protection mode.
Always.
That's it. You become Dwayne the Rock Johnson at Skyscraper with one leg. You do shit. You become Vin Diesel. You want to stretch your arms out and talk about how you got to the mad scientist got a fried piston rings. And then you want to talk about winning is winning. And then you want to wonder, as 10 movies progress, how much baby oil could you put on your fucking head? I went off. Completely off tangent.
Oh man.
And at that point, Cass actually stopped and she reflected and she apologized to me, which I wasn't looking for an apology, but I wanted her to understand where I was coming from. Yes, this is a choice of someone you've made to be your friend. Fine.
Cool.
I don't like them. Fine. You know I don't like them. You don't want to hear my opinions. You told me to keep them to myself. I respect it and I do it.
That's it.
But don't push me to the point where I have to re-educate you on why I got to this point. I didn't just look at this young girl and say, I don't like you. I watched, I dissected, and I let my kid be a kid. And I there's been a lot of times that she's made friends with questionable young ladies.
Yeah.
And she figured out herself who they were. And she dropped them. And that's what I want. I just want my kid to surround herself with positivity and people that raise her up, not tear her down. That's what I want for my kids. That's what I've instilled in my kids. That's a new trait.
Yeah.
I want them to have positivity around them and raise them up and have friends that support them. I have a lot of friends that are very proud of what I've done with the wrestling, that are a lot of people that have given me in my podcasting friendship groups that have said some very positives about what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And twice a week, it gives us a chance to let loose. I feel like $1 million right now.
Oh yeah.
This is like a free therapy session with your best friend. And the best part about it is we got beer. We used to have a smoke right after. He's going to go vape because that's horrible. What a horrible person. He vapes. That's disgusting. And I am not. I'm going to mix a couple flavors of gum and see what comes out of it. That's what I'm going to do.
And then finish your Summersby.
And finish my summers. But yeah, I got not much left. This one I'm not a fan of. This is Blueberry Rouge. I'm not a fan of this one.
Apple's not too bad, but I still like the mango lime.
The mango lime
wins.
The rhubarb rouge is not. I'm not. You know what it is for me? I'm not a rhubarb guy. Like even there's that apple or cherry rhubarb pie.
See, I don't
do cherry.
I don't mind cherry rhubarb pie. I don't mind it. The pie, I don't mind it. The drink, nah. Regardless, I think we've had enough of these now to know that the mango lime wins.
I think from now on, like we bought the variety pack to switch it up. I think next time it's my turn to buy the pack. I think I'm just gonna buy 2 packs of the mangoes. Because that's the one we both like.
It's a winning combination.
That is the winning combination. Yeah. I should have filmed his first reaction when we cracked open the first mango. That one day he was like, he drank it. It was like a damn.
Yeah.
And I almost felt like Uncle Frank from Home Alone, easy on the Pepsi, full of the rubber sheets are packed. You know what I mean? All right, guys, that's it from this one. We quoted some movie lines. We've talked about Vin Diesel's head, and we got open and honest.
As always, that'll never change. That's
what we do here on Father to Father. Remember, DMs in the comments are open. Please give us comments. Let us know. Let us. If you want to hear our opinions on certain things that happen with you and your kids, tell us a story. We'll share it on air. Our DMs are open. Slide into them. Find us online. It's all available. Links in the socials below. And of course, as always, I'm G. This is
D.
We are Father to Father. Peace, love, and fatherhood.
Always.
See you guys next time.
We just people from the north side. Once the Timmy's hit the shore fine. Winter ready on the four ties. Heavy traffic.